Hello friends, and welcome to the morning edition of Adventures in Pixieland. We are in Bible study. We are in the Niv. I'm over here almost breaking my own stuff. We're going to do chapter 14, verses 1 through 36. Once again, because of a comment on the channel to yesterday's video, I will remind people, I really don't think they actually watched the video. I think they just comment on the Bible, type, and then leave. So I don't know that I'm doing anything by saying this every time. I am going to go through multiple versions of the Bible. Next year, it will be the Old Testament and the Psalms of the Niv. In 2026, we will start with the KJV. I intend to do lots of different ones. As many as I can get my hands on. Right now I have 3 different versions in the house. I'm going to get some more versions. I'm not opposed to the PDF stuff, but I would really rather have the book. So, I'm going to start acquiring more soon. I am not tied to any one version of the Bible as my favorite version of the Bible. I don't know that I have a favorite version of the Bible. I don't like just taking other people's word for what they say something should be, because we were told not to do that in the Old Testament. It's supposed to be an individual relationship with Him. I've said I desire to read the multiple versions of the Bible, and I was going to do that at retirement. And he said, child, you don't have enough time to do that, especially if you wait for retirement. But even without it, you have to live like 800 years in order to get to that. Because there's like 400 different versions of the Bible. So that's why I can't understand when one of you over the other is like at least watch. All right? Or, go find something else to do with your time. Don't you have something you can go clean? Like, it's really strange to me, these things. But then, the world is in that place where people look for a reason to sow division instead of looking for a way to come together. And that's not how He told us to be. So let's jump in and get whatever the word is out. And we can come back to that other stuff in a hot minute. John the Baptist beheaded. Chapter 14, verse 1. At that time, Herod was tetrarch. Herod the tetrarch heard the report about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, "This is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead." That is why miraculous powers are at work in him. Because remember, he's afraid. He didn't necessarily want to have him killed, but the person asked for his head on a platter. So he had to give in because that's what he said. Otherwise, he doesn't have any honor in front of those people he was trying to impress. So he's worried about John the Baptist coming back and haunting him after death. That's what guilt will do to you. Now Herod had arrested John and bound him and put him in prison because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but he was afraid of the people because they considered him a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for them and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Oh, this is the story. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oath, his dinner guests, he ordered that her request be granted, and had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. And then they went and told Jesus. So, John the Baptist had already been telling them, no, I am not the Messiah. He's the Messiah. That's the one I was talking about. They've got me in prison. I want you going over there. Go follow him. Because if I wasn't in here, I'd be following him. He's just like the first preacher, of that kind. The wilderness preachers, the ones who do the revivals in the middle of the woods. I gotta move this. It's my breakfast. knock it on the ground and not have breakfast then. Well, or have to remake breakfast. Both of those sound unappealing. All right, so next parable here. Jesus feeds the 5,000. Verse 13. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Well, that's his cousin, so of course he's grieving. Like, I got a lot of cousins. Actually, I got a whole, like, both sides. There's just passels. Like, each side has got, like, I don't know. One side's got, like, 6. Another side's got 7. I mean, like, mom's side, dad's side. So, like, yeah, I'd be grieving if any of them died, too. I love my cousins. I mean, sometimes some of them can be a bit much, but I love them anyway. Doesn't mean I don't love them. We're all a bit much. I'm extra in all kinds of ways. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. You know, he did what most of us do when we're grieving and we can't handle in that moment. You throw yourself into work. And I think that's one of the things when I go through and I read these, because this is always, with every story, it's always the way I am. Like, I have a very practical job. I'm who you go to when you want, you know, some practical help, usually in some sort of ways. But I'm a big softie. Like, I cry at every movie. I'll cry when I'm reading books. And then I put myself in the story. If these were people, and they were, and they have all the same kind of emotions and stuff that we do, and they're living in a much rougher time. So, you know, violence was commonplace. I don't understand these people who want to go back to the past. It's not better in the past. It's more violence was more acceptable, and we had less protections. So it's only good to go, like, only if you're one of those people in one of those races and classes and your desire is to harm other people, do you want to go to the past? Think of it more like we're evolving still to be humans. Humanity is still evolving. We're not fully human. We're beings. We're not so much human beings just yet. We're better than we were before. But when we can all respond to the world like Jesus would, then we're fully human beings. So you gauge for yourself how far away from that we are. So he had compassion, which of course he did. Threw himself into work. Verse 15. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it is already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You can give them something to eat." "We have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here to me." Doesn't sound like enough food for 12 people, even to me. "Bring them here to me," he said. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and he gave thanks. He broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 baskets full of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. So, more than 5,000, because that's just 5,000 men. But that doesn't count those who came out with the rest of their family. So that's a lot. Everybody was full. That's good. A blessing. Jesus walks on the water. Verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. When the evening came, he was there alone. But the boat was already a considerable distance, in Greek, many stadia. I don't know how far that is in boat language, but I'm not a sailing person, so I know a little bit because I know some sailing people, but I'm not the person really to ask. From land, so it was quite a distance away. If somebody knows what that translation is in miles, please put it down below. buffeted by waves because the wind was against it, so the water was turbulent. During the fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. Of course, because I didn't know Jesus could walk on water. They just see something. And this is, back in the time when demons were just roaming around, possessing people. Like commonplace. Okay? But Jesus immediately said, "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." "Lord, if it is you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You have little faith," he said. "Why do you doubt?" It's like Jesus, it wasn't my idea to call you under the water, buddy. Why did you tell me to do that if you were gonna be afraid? Now why did you go do that? And then when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshiped him, saying, I can imagine getting, supplicant position. "Truly, you are the Son of God." Bowing to him like you would a king or something. When they had crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret. So I'm going to say that. Gennesaret. Gennesaret. And when the men of the place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country, of course. He's a celebrity, so the paparazzi's got to come there too. People brought all their sick to him, and begged to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched him were healed. Yeah, because he's done that before. I mean, that's got to, it's got to be tiring, though. It's got to take energy from him, I would have to think. And they showed that in The Chosen, when the lady did it, he felt it. It's not polite to take other people's energy without their permission. And remember, because I know some people out in the world are feeling ecstatic at the results of the election, and some people out there in the world are feeling terrified at the results of the election, and I can understand either reaction. I really can. I'm going to remind everybody that the person who won has been president before. Congress is still in a state of craziness. Presidents don't actually make laws. They just sign them into being. Congress still has to do their job for any laws to happen. Because any presidential thing that gets signed, obviously the next president can just get rid of that by writing things that opposite it. Because it's not meant to be that way. It was meant to be a job interview, not a popularity contest. All these emotions that we get over it are unnecessary. The good book tells you the only person you're supposed to be loyal to is the good Lord. And if you're blindly loyal to anybody else, you've already missed the point. Now, it's all right if you have opinions either way on who should be doing what. And I'm gonna keep it this way. I don't like bullies. And as far as I can tell, they were both bullies. So, you're not going to convince me to like one more than the other. And also, remember, we only allow for 2 terms. Once these 4 are over, he can't run again. They would actually have to get Congress to agree for that to happen. And when is the last time in your adult life you remember Congress agreeing to any such thing? Like, when do you think they're going to agree on that? No. In fact, I think, you want a prediction? Here's a prediction. I think 2025 is just going to really result in a whole lot of Congress arguing with each other a whole bunch of times and a bunch of people getting very emotional at the stuff that comes out of this guy's mouth. And, you know, we're going to get excitable for a whole bunch of no reason. Anybody out there looking for an excuse to treat other people poorly is not walking the path of the Christ consciousness. They are not walking in the Jesus path. We're not supposed to be looking for excuses to hurt one another. Christian with a verb, Christian with a noun. Those are two different things. You can say Christian all you want, but if your words and actions aren't in alignment and you go around and you deliberately want to make people, I got to put them in their place. He said, love one another. Where's the love in that? Your intention in your heart is not love. So it is not of Christian. That's a hard line. His words. Love one another. You can argue all you want from anybody else's human point of view in any church anywhere. Christ is the head of every church. And he said, love one another. So if you can't find the light in the room, you're supposed to be the light in the room if you're a Christian. So if you got a problem with how something's being, and you're walking the path of faith and peace, that it means you find a way to de-escalate and you don't name call. Name calling is strictly forbidden. There is no love in disrespect. And if there's no respect, there's no love. So if you can't do it with love, then that's not the other person. It's you. Because how you react to every situation is entirely on you and not on them. So don't let them make you act out of character because they think that because they support a big bully, that means they get to be aggressive. And I don't care if you're red or blue, because I'm literally party not designated, okay? Because I don't like bullies. And both sides have their crazy people. And that's the reality. I wouldn't want a crazy person on one side than any more than a crazy person on another side. And I'm not going to go into who's crazy, who's not, because I don't need the crazies to come at me for something. So you can have your opinion about who's crazy. I'll have my opinion on mine. And I'm not going to try to discuss it with you. I'm going to say that no matter what the crazy person is doing anywhere in the world, if they want to make someone else feel bad about themselves, then their words show you that they're not Christian. Because you can't be. That is directly contrary to love one another. And that was his first rule. He only gave so many commandments. Take communion and love one another. If you can't even manage that, then you need to go pray. You need to go pray it out with him. He's still the answer. I'm not saying you're not going to get into heaven. Everybody's in a state of healed. I don't get to decide who goes into heaven. He decides who goes into heaven. He's definitely the head of this church. You need to go pray it out. I recommend you get some communion. If you get some communion, you'll get some balance in you. At least this will work for me. If you disagree, you disagree. Then do whatever grounds and anchors you. Because there are no excuses to go out there in the world and hurt somebody on purpose and then call yourself a Christian. That's just a hard no. It's not how it works. The person standing right in front of you deserves dignity, grace, and respect just like you do. If you can't give it to another, you don't ask for it in exchange from somebody else. You can't stand in front of him and tell him you want his grace when you're unwilling to give to another. What you reap is what you sow. So you have to ask yourself very seriously in this day and time right now, what are you even trying to reap? Because if you're only can reap what you sow, if you're only going to have negativity out of your mouth, then what you want is violence, and then you're not working for him. If you don't want violence, on the other hand, you can't speak violence into the world. You can't speak that anger. You can't speak that hate. That's the opposite of what they're asking you for. You got to speak that peace. You got to speak that balance. You got to speak that love. It's more important than ever to speak that peace, speak that balance, and speak that love into the world. Remember that when they're trying to make you act out of character.